Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome back to Reality Realness with three S's. I'm your host, Chantele Francis, here with G Daddy to talk about episode 10, Loyal to the Soil from Survivor season 47. Dad, how's it going? What's up?
Oh, great week. I had some quiet here this week because Sheila went out of town to see her mother up in Canada there, up in the Vancouver Islands. So she was gone and it was just me and the dog. It was nice and quiet.
You
Outside
and
of that,
me.
though, what's that?
You and Mimi.
Yeah, it was just me and Mimi was a good girl. So yeah, it was good. So that being said, it's great when she's here too. So don't misunderstand me. Okay? I'm just saying that this was a little bit different because she wasn't here, and you know that her and I, we're like glue. We stick together, right? So she's not here. It's just different, and it was great. I mean, it was just a different experience. So yeah, I had a great week.
How was it watching the episode without Sheila?
Watching the episode without Sheila, um, it's different, right? Because when we watch the episode, we comment and talk about things. So it's a great way to really, get the episode in your mind. So she wasn't here, so I watched that in silence as well. But yeah, it allowed me to really think about what's going on in the game. All the emotional stuff, the strategic stuff, all the game whisperer and all that stuff. It was just great to watch as well. It was a great episode.
I definitely agree. I'm enjoying this season in general. Out of all the new era seasons, it's definitely my favorite. I don't know if it's because I know a couple people on this season or if I just really enjoy this cast of characters. But I think this is like a top new era season for sure.
Well, I got to say, for me, this is probably the best season for me because I've never watched it with so much detail
Fair.
as I am now. I'm watching it differently, so I've never watched the game like this at all. So it's a lot different, and there's just so much going on that I have really starting to understand some of these things. But the people that do understand, like yourself, all the different plays and all the things that are happening in it. So I'm starting to learn. So it's been great.
So we get to this episode and we're back to the Saul blindside here, and we see Andy mouth to Teeny Saul that Saul is the vote, and so I'm just curious as to what you think about Andy, because Andy had his like seemingly an alliance with Genevieve, and now he's kind of like telling Teeny when that wasn't part of the plan. So what do you think the reason was why Andy did this?
Well, first of all, it's going to put a target on Genevieve, right? So right away, it's going to put a target on Genevieve, and it builds more of an alliance with Teeny. So he's out there building alliances with everybody. That's
Mm-hmm.
why I call him the game whisperer, because he's out there
Oh.
whispering in everyone's ear, right? Well, he called himself many different things in this episode, but I call him the game whisperer because he's whispering things to everybody and he's putting seeds into their mind and his aligning with everybody. So I don't know if that's going to be good for him or not, because things could go the other way if they all get together and say he told me that I was going to the end with him. No, he told me I was going. So he could end up with, a little bit of chaos down the road. But right now he's doing a good job staying in the background, going with the flow, and he stirs things up. So that's what he was definitely doing with Teeny. He was stirring things up and taking the spotlight off of him and making sure that Teeny was aligning with him, as you will hear a little bit further in the episode
Mm-hmm.
when he said, what did he say? Proved it last night or something like that, that he's with her. So he knows what he's doing. He's a very good player.
It's so great to hear you say this, just because like the big turnaround for Andy. I feel like no matter what happens in his game, I think that he has the most profound game of the season. Like I think that, we talk about season 47, a lot of it will have to do with Andy's growth and transformation. We see that he narrates a lot of the episodes, like a lot of confessionals. He has a lot of episode titles, and so I do feel like there's a part of this season is the season of Andy, which is awesome.
He's doing good. I mean, what I realized that during this episode was that the whole thing, the whole game is really, to me, a seminar. and
Seminar.
really just, it feels like a seminar to me where you go in and you've got to do all these different tasks. You got to mix with different people that you don't know. You got to build relationships with people you don't know. You got to be good at building rapport with everybody. You got to be good at seeing what people are doing. You've got to be good at managing your own emotional state. You still got to be strategic while you're doing that. And there's a lot of things that pop up, right? So with Andy, he had his stuff pop up early, and he was able to break through that perturbation when it popped up. We're seeing, as you'll talk about in this episode, Teeny had it pop up, some of the stuff that she's dealing with. So I think that, when I look at Survivor now, it really is I think it's two things. You play in the game, great experience, but I also think that it's also a great therapy for the people that are playing, because they get to deal with some things that they normally might not deal with in the real world, so to speak, and no pun intended, by the way. But things are popping up for them, and they have to get through these things, and that's just going to help their growth overall as people, because once they can do this, they can do so much more.
I actually think that's a really amazing analogy or comparison to a seminar. I know that you've led many seminars, you've attended many seminars in your lifetime, and now kind of thinking do I need to create a Survivor seminar for personal transformation and growth?
Well, that's what it's all about. I mean,
but
really,
doing something outside of the actual TV show, that's kind of cool.
Yeah. You got to put them through a lot of stuff. I mean, that's, when we did Tony Robbins years ago, he had us break through different things, like the fire walk as an example, to walk on fire. No one wants to walk on coals, right? To walk on hot coals, right? So, but the thing is, once you do that, then it just opens up all the other things that you can do, right? So you have your fear, and you're able to turn that fear into power. And I see that happening with Andy, and I think that's going to happen with Teeny now. She's broken through. She's gotten through the situation, and she's become stronger in that, I believe.
Now, do you think that this breakthrough is a winning strategy, or is it just winning for themselves as a person, as a human being?
I think it could be both, because they're now going to be taking the emotions out of the game and playing a little bit more strategically, because they were playing so emotionally before. Andy, we've seen him do this. I mean, he did this several episodes ago, but you can see that he turned from that emotional guy into a strategic player. And there's got to be a balance between two, right? And that's what I saw in this episode. There was a struggle between, the emotional connections that they made with everybody and strategic play, where, it's hard, it's difficult, but those things are there, and that's part of the seminar. That's part of the game.
I'm like, this is great. This is good stuff. This is really, really good stuff. And I'm going to take it into something moving forward. I kind of have an epiphany and an idea here. So thank you for this insight.
Yeah, you could bring all the other survivors there and put together some games.
Well, I've played live reality games before. So I've done where I went camping for a weekend and played a version of Survivor. And I used to actually lead my own weekend version of Big Brother, where we had 16 players, and we constructed all the different games and whatnot. And there was a winner at the end, all that stuff. And so this was still very game based oriented, but I think it could be interesting in taking it into a life transformation, with the games being a little bit more towards personal success and growth and stuff like that. So
it has to be a lot of struggle. Has to be a lot of things that they have to break through. So there's some good games out there that you could use. That definitely
I'm inspired.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, Teeny is going to avenge Saul. So this is kind of, if we're looking at in terms of story arc, it's now she needs to go on her journey to avenge Saul and go up against the monster of Genevieve right now. And so I do think that she does have a story that's starting to evolve. I've always liked Teeny. Thought she was in a decent place. She kind of got blindsided a few times, and so we're kind of ooh, is she going to be able to get her footing? And so, like you're saying, this could be the moment that's shaking things up for her, and maybe her going on an avenge Saul's elimination. I think it could be good for her game for sure.
Yeah, I think that Genevieve made it real for her. So when Genevieve had that talk with her, and Genevieve's obviously older than Teeny, it was like a mother-daughter situation where Genevieve is basically saying, I did what I did for my game. I mean, he was blowing up my game, so I had to do it for my game, right? So there's things that I had to do for my game. If I didn't do it, then I would not be, serving my game. And so I think in that moment, Teeny realized that, hey, yeah, this is a game, and I got to become strategic at that point. So I think that was it. Yeah, that was it. I
So
like this one here. The worst feeling in this game is not knowing what's going on.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely, and feeling left out of the vote. Sophie says now it makes sense where Chantele gets her charm from. Look at that. And Sheila says, haha, yes, David is very, very charming. This is Sheila, the
Oh, shit.
stepmom, unfortunately unable to be on the show today, traveling right now. Yes, Sheila, well, you can obviously be here in the chat if you want to pop in from the airport. You are more than willing to, or if you just want to hang out in the chat, we're happy to have you there too.
She's trying to get home early, so let's see if she gets home early.
I think she will. Who's traveling from Vancouver to Vegas right now? No, she'll be fine. So Genevieve wants to talk with Teeny, of course, and Teeny's really hurt. Her ego's bruised. She hates being left out of the blind side. And when they do end up going to chat, Teeny feels as though Genevieve did this specifically to humiliate her. And I was actually surprised by her taking that extreme. Like, there's no way that Genevieve was doing that to humiliate her specifically, like she maybe wasn't being considerate of how she was going to feel, or was willing to have her feel however that was. But I didn't think of it as like a intentional humiliation. Do you think that was Genevieve's intention?
No, not at all. But the feelings that Teeny had are real, right? So she
Yeah.
had real feelings, and it's like getting picked last. It's like being not invited to the party. It's really a crummy feeling. And yeah, I think that you can feel some humiliation, obviously, if you're not counted in, and everybody else is, and not you. So yeah.
Oh, Teeny. Well, we see in Genevieve's a confessional that, she wants to play this game without an emotion, and kind of using people just as chess pieces, as players in the game, and not really thinking of them as full emotional people that are going to be affected by the things that you do. And I thought it was really nice to see Genevieve have an emotional moment in this confessional, seeing that, like, oh wait, like I can't play the game this way. You saw her kind of, people are saying that the ice princess has melted a little bit. So do you think this is good for Genevieve, that she's starting to have a heart, or do you think that she needs to stay stone cold to potentially make it through?
Well, obviously there's conflict going on inside of her mind, right? So she's conflicted against playing the game, and conflicted against, on the other hand, that you've got people that are playing that she doesn't want to hurt anyone. And she says here, I guess I'm an ice cold killer when it comes to strategy, but this hurts. I didn't mean to make her feel humiliated, right? So she's torn. So there's that conflict that's going on that she's going to need to bring together and balance it out, because right now, do I play strategic, or do I, be concerned about other people's feelings? So she's got conflict going on right now.
And for me, like, I think the most important part of a social strategy game like Survivor is the emotional connections that you have to people. I know people I like to discount it, which is what I feel like Genevieve didn't think that the emotional connections was important. Maybe she thought it was going to make her a weaker player, or not make the appropriate decisions for herself. But we're actually learning that you definitely need to be able to balance both.
Well, you got to bring
And
them together for sure. I mean,
absolutely.
you've got to take the strategy and the emotions. You got to bring them together and balance it out, right? So there's got to be a balance between two, I think, because if you're one way or the other, I don't see the person going to the end.
Or if they get to the end, they're not going to have the people that they voted out vote for them. Like, if
Right.
you're just a number to somebody and it's like, I don't care about you, voting you out, like, and it's in like a brutal fashion without caring about their feelings and about the fact that you took away their opportunity in the game, I'm just not going to vote for you. Like, call it bitter jury, but like, that's the power that I have as a jury member, is that I can be bitter if I didn't think that you played the game that I want to reward with $1 million. And
Yeah,
so she's
absolutely.
got to start thinking about that for
No,
sure.
absolutely. I think this is the time, right, when the jury's there. You got to think about, okay, I've got to keep building that rapport with people, and at the same time, I've got to, work strategies. So there's a great balancing act there for sure.
Now, do you think that, so you've mentioned that Andy's kind of having his transformational moment and he's kind of living through that, and Teeny's having her kind of rock bottom and now she's kind of the phoenix coming through the ashes. Do you think that this could be Genevieve's rock bottom moment as well, and she has an opportunity to kind of redefine herself and transform?
I don't think so. I think she's going to be out. Sorry, Sheila. I think she's going to be out soon. She's definitely out before many other people, right? So I think she's going to be out soon. I don't see her coming back right now. Yeah.
Susan
There
here
you
says
go.
Genevieve isn't making strong personal connections. Unless she decides to start doing that. Now, so yeah, I can agree with you that I do think that was a gross miscalculation of not taking in consideration Teeny's feelings for that vote, for doing it a bit too early. But I do think that she does have a little bit of room here for the fact that Kyle is such a strong threat. I think that she could definitely, if Kyle does not win immunity, I think that there's definitely an argument to be made that he needs to be out next, for the fact that he might just go on an immunity run, and that will make sure that one of us is definitely not moving forward. So
Yeah.
there's a strong potential that Kyle can go next. Genevieve
Yeah,
also
totally
has
agree.
potential to
Totally agree.
win 1, 2, or whatever immunities as well. So she
Who,
could.
Genevieve?
Did I say? Who did I say?
What didn't you say? Genevieve has
Oh,
got
yeah.
a chance to win. Is that what you
Well,
said?
she could win an immunity, right? That's a
Possibly, yeah.
possibility. So it just
Possibility.
could give her another couple days to reform some relationships and maybe mend the ones that she's kind of fractured here.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
then go ahead.
100%. If Kyle doesn't win, I think the vote's on Genevieve. Or no, if Kyle doesn't win, the vote's on him. If Kyle wins, I think the vote's on Genevieve, because that's what it was last. The group that was voting, that's what they were tossing back and forth, right?
Also, though, with the fact that it looks like Genevieve is just so on the bottom, she has no power. We learned later on the episode that nobody's really talking to her about the vote. She might not look as scary anymore, and people might be like, well, maybe we'll save Genevieve for later. So she might be pushed to
Oh, I
the
see.
side
Okay.
as well. So I do agree with you that it's looking pretty shaky, and the confidence that I had her as getting to the end has definitely fallen with her positioning in the game. But I do think that if she's able to make it past one more and then maybe another, lay low, she might be able to re-emerge or emerge.
We shall see.
Sheila says, my girl Genevieve had a hard time playing without emotion, but she has a conscience. In the long run, she probably needs to find balance between people's feelings and a winning strategy. Yes.
Well said, Sheila.
So she has to vote again. Yes. I mean, it's still possible. And this could be her rock bottom moment, right? You're like, nope.
No, it's just not going to the end.
You never know.
Okay, we'll see.
No, she'll figure it out because she's so clever. I mean, I do have faith in Genevieve to be able to we might be seeing this because she's going to have when she next episode, we might see her starting to reform bonds and apologizing and being humble. And, it goes a long way with some people. Rachel, what's her name? Yeah, Rachel is somebody that Caroline and Genevieve kind of had their eyes on. That might come back up again. And so, there's still some outs, but she's definitely in a harder position than she would have been if she had waited on the Saul vote.
You got everyone saying that she's scary. She scares them. And that's gone around, as we saw in this episode. I'm not sure if it was a deleted scene where Teeny said, what'd she say again? This white lady from Canada or something like that is the scariest person out here.
That must have been a secret scene because I didn't see it.
Yeah, that was a deleted scene, but they think she's scary. A lot of people are scared of her. Sam's scared of her. Rachel is scared of her. So a lot of people are scared of her. So I just think that she's going to go soon. We shall see.
I can agree, but I can also make the argument that she could go to the end still. So in the morning, Teeny apologized to the rest of the tribe, just saying that she was kind of in an emotional state. They're obviously understanding because that's a pretty crummy position for Teeny to be in, and they can have a heart's understanding as to what she was going through.
That was a good play by her, though, doing that, right? Because she brought everybody in, to take care of her, so to speak. So
Yeah.
that was a good move by her.
Now, Genevieve is like obviously worried that she's become the tallest blade of grass that everybody is going to want to cut down. And she's also the tallest person out there. So, even looking at her, she has a lot of height and presence. You see her standing next to Teeny. Teeny's like 2 feet shorter than her. Yeah, she's a tall woman. She's probably about 5.
She's definitely a standout.
Yeah, 10 or 11, and everybody out there is much. Maybe the only person that's about her height is Sam, is about the same height as her. But everybody else, and maybe Kyle might be about the same height as her, but everybody else is definitely much smaller than she is. So
yeah, she towers over everybody when I see her lined up there.
Oh, wait, Dreadful Ruby says, I hope she goes next. Justice for Saul. Dreadful. I mean, I do love Saul. Met him in person. Thought he was he was really, really nice. Really liked him a lot. And yeah, I do want justice for Asia. I do. But she's Canadian. Also had to support my Canadian girl. So we see Genevieve in the hammock talking about Andy, and they kind of agree to still work together. This is, I guess, your Andy whisper is coming to effect, having this one-on-one with Genevieve.
Well, that's smart of him. He's having one-on-ones with everybody, but yeah, one-on-one with Genevieve and building that relationship. So he's out there building relationships and getting information. Information is power in this game.
And so what is kind of concluded is that Genevieve is okay with breaking up Tuku, which everybody is. And I had a feeling that this would be a way that Genevieve would be able to save herself from a vote, is being like, Tuku's too strong. We can't let Tuku get to 4 out of 4, that's 4 out of 8. That's too powerful. And so I did think that she was going to have an out for one round. But then Andy does go directly to Sam, saying that Jen would split the vote, or split between Gabe and Kyle. And so I'm getting worried a little bit for Andy sometimes, because if people start talking, they might be like, we need to get rid of Andy. So I get worried for him. Are you nervous?
He's so charming, though. No, he's so charming when he's doing it. What do you call himself? The smiling assassin? Like his really doing a good job with that. So I perhaps that might happen, but right now he's doing a good job of feeding, information and receiving information. But he only feeds to create that kind of little chaos, like really quietly. And he's got that relationship with some people that he could talk like that to them and say, hey, this is what happened. And that builds trust again with that person, whoever he's saying it to. So, it's like Rome tried to do it, but he did it way too soon, and he did that wrong, trying to spread disinformation. But certainly, I believe that the way Andy's doing it is still under the radar. I don't think anyone suspects Andy of pulling some of these things off and moving some of these chess pieces around.
Yes, he's definitely unassuming. And like Susan here is saying, she doesn't think that people respect Andy. I don't think they respect him yet. I think that they don't really necessarily think that he's as strong of a player that he is, as strategic as he is. I think they still have the idea that he's the George Costanza, the bumbling idiot. He's losing a shot in the dark. Like, I still think that he has that image about him. And so they might be in for a rude awakening if they let him get to the end, and he knows to lay out his game, right? He's seen every season at least once, probably multiple times for multiple seasons. He's a super fan. He goes to events about Survivor. So he's going to know how to lay out his game in a way that I think could win over a jury. So he's dangerous at the end game for sure. So, and I think he's going to let him, he's going to get himself there. Susan wants to know if Genevieve is cold-hearted because she's from the far north. She's from Ontario, but she lives in the prairies, which is very cold. Alberta, she doesn't live in Alberta, but it's the neighboring province to where she is, and it was -13.
Ooh.
Which is yeah, that's cold. It's real cold. Like, that's like probably -3. You guys do Fahrenheit, right? Like, it's probably like -3 Fahrenheit. That's cold.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't compare anymore.
It's cold.
Yeah, I mean, it's cold. I mean, anytime you go up there, especially in the wintertime, it's very, very cold.
What's still okay in Ontario, okay? It's still probably like 10 degrees, which I guess would be around 25 or so. So it's not too freezing yet. Dreadful says I'm Canadian too, so I get it, but I'm over Genevieve. Oh, Dreadful, don't say that. Sheila says, do you think that Andy's going to everyone serendipitous? What's that word? Surreptitiously?
Serendipitous. I don't know what that word is that she's trying to do. I know it.
Surreptitiously, yes. Is a dangerous game because people won't trust him when they find up. Oh, okay. So I think that he's going to be. I think that he actually might be okay, just because they don't necessarily think that he's that strategic, and so they probably just think that he's being honest and just giving out information. And I don't think that it's going to come back to bite him. If that's what this means.
Well, a lot of them are going to be gone, right? So, but you know what? What might bite him though is if he does go to the end and all of the people that are in the jury are talking back at Ponderosa there, that might bite him. Because are they allowed to talk to each other? They are. So that might get him because they go back there. Andy said that, whatever. Andy said, so he could get bitten at the end with that.
Especially since they say that the first person that's part of the jury is called like the mayor of Ponderosa. Ponderosa is like where they're all staying. And that's Sierra. And I think Sierra doesn't necessarily have respect for Andy. And so she might be the one that leads the discussion as to who is most deserving, because she's going to be there for the whole time. And then she also has her opinion of Andy. So she could be a very influential voice with the rest of the jury. So I think he'll be okay, but I worry for Andy because he's like, I don't know, I don't have as much hope for Genevieve anymore. So now it's all on Andy. Andy's my guy too.
Oh, Andy's your guy now?
Well, he's always just my guy because I know him from before. But like, no, now it's like I'm all in on Andy. Andy, you got to do this for us. Sam, like you mentioned, thinks that Genevieve is dangerous, and I'm like, oh, she is. She needs to be able to lower her threat level, and so I'm like, Genevieve, just start thinking of laying low and being kind, being likable. She's got to start making people want her to be there and be less terrified of her in the game. Andy is loyal to the soil with Kyle. Another episode title for Andy. I think he's done like the last 4 in a row. I think it's unprecedented for sure.
Yeah, he's doing well narrating this thing here and getting the titles.
Now, okay, I didn't write it down, but his definition of loyal to the soil, it didn't seem like it was the actual right one. Did you take note of this by any chance?
Which part?
Well, I can't remember exactly
what he said. I'm loyal to the soil all the way down to the soil.
And so I thought loyal to the soil meant to the grave. So to like you're like people are putting the soil on your grave, like you are loyal to the bitter end.
Okay, is that what he meant? Okay,
that's cool. That's what I thought that loyal to the soil meant, but his interpretation of loyal to the soil was different than what my interpretation of that saying was. Did you have a thought?
Here, I'm loyal to the soil, but I'm also digging tunnels under everybody's feet. So he said that at some point in the show. So, yeah, I mean, I've never heard that saying before until now.
Okay, let me look it up then to see.
You can look it up.
If well, that's just for Google, but I could also do chat. Being loyal to my soil simply means you're back where you came from, no matter where the journey of life has taken you. Okay, that's different. Loyal to the soil actually doesn't. Oh wait, something has to do with crops. Staying loyal to the soil and dedicated to the dirt to build your tables, drops, and gaps and dram. Okay. Okay, let me actually ask ChatGPT. ChatGPT might be a little bit more knowledgeable than Google. I wonder how Google feels about this, that ChatGPT is taking this job.
I tried the search on it. I didn't really like the search on ChatGPT.
Okay, let's see. What does loyal to the soil mean? Chat, what are you saying? Chat's slow today. Well, anyways, I always just thought it meant to the grave. Okay, so connection to
That
home
makes a
or
lot.
root.
That makes a whole lot of sense. I'm loyal to the soil, so I'm going to be loyal to you all the way to my grave. That makes a lot of sense.
So, chat says connection to home or roots. This phrase often symbolizes unwavering loyalty to the place where someone grew up or feels most connected, whether it's their hometown, country, or cultural heritage. Authenticity and groundedness. It reflects a sense of being genuine, staying true to one's value, and being deeply rooted in personal integrity. The soil metaphor evokes ideas of being grounded, unshakable, and connected to something fundamental or natural. Unwavering commitment. It also can signify dedication to cause, team, or community. Even in challenging times, this loyalty is as constant and as enduring as Earth itself. Cultural pride, modern usage in pop culture. The phrase has gained traction in hip hop groups, sports, and social movements, often used to convey solidarity, pride, and loyalty to a group or identity. Okay.
Perfect for him, huh?
Yeah, I mean, it's great.
It's
It
perfect. I wonder
definitely.
if he had this like lined up to say, because I'm sure that they kind of put their lines together, what they're going to use during the show. And at some point, he says, "I'm going to go and I'm going to let everyone know that I'm loyal to the soil." So I wonder if that's a line that he actually came in with in his head to use.
Maybe because it's pretty good. It also, the one last thing it says here that I think is great. Being loyal to the soil means not forgetting where you came from, staying connected to your roots, and honoring the foundation that helped you grow.
I love it.
So, okay. I
I
mean, my
love it.
interpretation wasn't there, but yeah, I definitely think that's Andy. Now, in terms of coming up with phrases, I mean, he might have. You definitely, when you are talking in these interviews, you tell your story like 1,000 times over and over again. And so, if this was a way that he was going to describe any parts of his gameplay or his personality, or how parts of his personality would lead to his gameplay, he might have used loyal to the soil in like multiple times in his casting. So it could be something that was kind of in his head already. So I'd say potentially yes. Potentially yes. Kate says here, I lived in North Dakota, and would hit minus 30 Fahrenheit on the thermostat easy in January. That's the closest thing to Manitoba in the US. Cold, flat, and windy. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I've not been to North Dakota. Not sure if I'll be there anytime soon. That's cold.
That's very cold. I call cold here now when it hits 40, 45. That's cold here.
That's pretty cold. I mean, it's cold
That's
in
our
Vegas,
winter.
though.
Our winter. If it hits 45 at night, it goes down to 37, but it could hit 45, 50 during the day in the winter time here. So that's our cold.
I definitely remember it is chilly compared to like how boiling hot it is in the summer. It's definitely in the desert there with like chilly. Andy does tell Rachel that she shouldn't trust Genevieve, and Rachel thinks, was it Rachel or Andy that thinks that she's the silent assassin, or he said that he is. No, she is. I wrote on she's.
I'm not sure. So you're saying that Rachel told Genevieve?
Andy told Rachel that
Andy,
she shouldn't trust Jen.
Okay. Yeah, I heard her say that, but I can't remember who said that she's a silent assassin. I'm not sure who said that.
It's probably Andy using that as like a way to, yeah, it's probably Andy saying that to Rachel, being like, yeah, we can't trust Genevieve. She's a silent assassin, probably.
Yeah, I don't remember.
But seeing Andy and Rachel talking again, they're trying to do this again. Let's see if this is going to work for them. And Andy thinks who's a lethal player right now. Why did I take decent notes so I can remind myself what I'm talking about?
I can't remember your notes. I'm sorry.
Sometimes people will be like, they'll know what I'm talking about, but not always. All right, well, let's just get to the reward challenge. Unless you want to talk more about Rachel and Andy kind of coming together again.
No, that's great. I mean, because they have a relationship that started, and they tried to make it work a few times, and now it's time that Rachel's looking for for some help. So it's
Yeah.
perfect that Andy comes in and says, "Hey, let's work together. Me and you." He's got his smile on, his
And
whispering in her ear.
now Andy's Rachel's guy now.
Exactly. So he did a good job with that.
So we get to the rewards challenge, and they're going to be split up in teams of 3, where they have their hands in shackles and their feet in shackles, and they have to slither through the sand, moving the ball with their head and shoulders. Where the reward is going to be a trip to the sanctuary, where good things happen. Basically, yeah, one of the time they have to push these balls over to the mat, and then they have to each roll a ball onto a little target. The food at the sanctuary is going to be wraps, salad, fruit juice, iced tea, cake, and the cake is cookies and cream. Does any of this excite you for a trip to the sanctuary?
Say that again. I was just looking at something.
That's okay.
Cookies
I
and
said,
cream?
does
No.
any of this
Well,
excite you? Like,
all
would
that
you be?
fruit sounds good. I mean, that fruit
Yeah, fruit does.
sounded good. What they're going to get there. The cake, not so much for me. But they haven't eaten, so yeah, anything's going to sound good for them.
But like, I feel like they're always eating. No.
Well, they some of them are. Not all of them are always eating. I mean, Caroline in a deleted scene, she was just talking about how hungry she was and how depleted she was, and she was in tears in this deleted scene about how much energy she doesn't have. So yeah, they're hungry. So yeah, food.
So they're going
And
one.
it's a sanctuary where good things happen, right?
Where
You got a
good
chance
things
to eat
happen.
food, you got a chance to fill your belly, and then you got a chance to also strategize with other people and build bonds with them at the same time. So yeah, I'd want to go to the sanctuary. Absolutely.
But it also takes you away from the other group. Like, do you think that? Like, how do you think that fares for your game?
Well, yeah, it does take you from the other group, absolutely. However, you get to definitely build a stronger relationship with your team, right? The team that you go to the sanctuary with, which we saw in this episode. So yeah, I mean, it was in this episode, that's where the move happened actually at the sanctuary. That's where the real move happened, where the name was thrown out and they moved towards that and they made it happen, right?
So they're going to be going one person at a time. The teams are yellow, which is Genevieve, Teeny, and Sue. Red is Andy, Caroline, and Gabe. Blue is Kyle, Rachel, and Sam. I kind of automatically thought that it was going to be Blue that was going to win this one. I was like, I felt that they had, they have Kyle and Sam there. I thought that was positive. Rachel, like, not that she's super strong, but I thought that with like these two guys that are tall, so it would be easier for them to, or they could be more quickly potentially of getting this ball from point A to point B. So I was rooting for, well, not rooting for, but I think I was rooting for Genevieve, Teeny, and Sue, because I was wanting Genevieve to make some inroads back with Teeny. I just wanted her to have that opportunity to have that chat. Were you rooting for anybody?
I wasn't rooting for anybody in this one. I just wanted to see how they were going to do it, which was quite interesting, obviously, as we shall talk about. Everyone had different methods of getting that ball, from one end to the other. So I was more interested in how everyone was going to do it, because that looked tough, being shackled, and you got to do the worm and all that stuff. And I tried to figure out how to get that up there. I thought that was going to be interesting, and it was, to see everybody do it.
I said that Kyle and Sam would do well because they're tall. And I didn't necessarily mean by coordination, but by the fact that like 1 inch worm with their body is just going to cover a lot more, ground. But Susan's calling me out here. Genevieve was terrible at this task and she's tall. So she wasn't good. She definitely.
Yeah, I thought. Yeah, go ahead. No, I thought it was interesting that Sam. Look at Sam. He goes and says he's going to be last. Great position to be in, because you get to see what everybody else is doing and what works, right? Meanwhile, I don't know what Genevieve was doing like a dolphin type thing. She was trying to figure out.
Yeah, we will see that this was her strongest showing. Could you say that could you think that maybe she was trying to lower her threat level so that she wasn't an immunity or challenge threat?
I don't think so. I don't think so. She was trying. She was definitely trying.
And and the poor editor's doing Andy dirty with like him.
Like, why did you? Hell on a second. Why did they do that to Andy? Like, why do they do that to Andy? Like, show Andy trying to get the ball and then get it up, and then Andy, he's smart. He's going to use whatever he's got to do it, and slowing it down right there.
Slow-mo of him, like
slowing it down right there is just wrong. I mean, he's like biting into the ball, like big mouth, like biting into it and using his tongue and everything to roll it. I mean, why do they have to slow it down right there? That's wrong. They didn't slow it down on anybody else. I mean, you've got who was in front. You got Kyle in front there. He's on the mat, and they're showing Andy, with his mouth on the ball. Why did they do that to Andy? It's just wrong.
These are things that the crew does not respect, Andy. Yeah, it's I mean, I think he gives a lot of material that they want to use, good or bad. I think that they're just like, he's giving us stuff.
Yeah, I mean, no one else used their mouth. Let's put it that way.
That we saw.
That we saw. No one else used it the way he did. I mean,
it's so funny though. When you're doing that, I was like screaming. I'm like, why are you showing me this? Stop! No, please. I'm gonna actually ask Andy. Be like,
"Oh, you're gonna ask him?
How do you feel about that?" Hopefully he's in. I don't know. I'm gonna ask him if he's gonna be in Houston next week.
Are you going to that?
Houston's like, not this week, but next week, the first week of December.
Okay.
I'm going to go.
Have you been to Houston before?
I've never been to Houston.
Okay.
Is there somewhere I should go?
Well, you're going there, so.
No, I know. But like, is there any highlights?
I don't know. Last time I was at Houston, I was very sick, so I stayed in the hotel room.
Oh, boo. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, there's obviously going to be things that are planned specifically. And so another guy that we work with, Chantele, he's from Waco, but he'll be there. So he'll probably, take us around on some Houston things. And then Asia is from Houston. So she'll hopefully tour guide us there. So we have that to look forward to. Should I wear like cowboy hats? Do they do that there? Or is that just like in the movies?
I don't remember. I know Dallas with the hats. I'm not sure with Houston, but Dallas definitely hats. I got a good one in Dallas. Nice hat there. Got some nice boots there. Yeah. Got some nice alligator boots that I got in Dallas. They were nice boots. Yeah.
What's Susan saying here? Maybe Andy needed more fiber in his diet, so the sand was doing that for him.
He probably knew he wasn't going to go to Sanctuary, so he might as well eat the sand, I guess.
Houston's pretty urban, but there are cowboy hats. Okay.
There are. Okay.
I'll definitely wear a cowboy hat to the live show.
Nice.
Okay, so Andy moving his mouth to move the ball. Why is what I wrote. Blue is fast, so that's Kyle, Rachel, and Sam. They are already working on rolling their balls onto the target while everybody was still like getting their first or second person to the mat. Gabe was actually pretty fast at this, but Sam, he's able to basically Blue was able to roll and hit their targets, and Sam comes in, gets through the worming, hits his target on his first try, and Blue pretty much takes it real quick, real easy. They did a better job than I thought they were going to.
Definitely dominated. And I didn't realize that the rolling the ball, they were different lengths, it looks like, right? Or are they? Yeah, they're different lengths, aren't they?
So that's also why Sam chose to go last too. Maybe he felt more confident in the ball throw at the end as well.
Okay.
Maybe?
Yeah, perhaps.
Maybe.
Teeny struggled on that.
So who did?
No, Teeny struggled with the ball.
Did Teeny get the ball?
I thought Teeny struggled getting the ball. She didn't get to the mat. Right.
Yes. So for Sam, though, this win was a confidence booster for him. As like a young sporty guy, he hasn't been that impressive in some of these competitions. So the fact that he won, it was giving him a little bit of a boost here. So we go to the sanctuary, and Sam's never had a kiwi before. I mean, if he hasn't had a pineapple, I would expect that he hasn't had a kiwi, and he didn't enjoy the kiwi as much as the pineapple. But it's still shocking to me that he has not had a kiwi before.
Yeah, well, he's had one now, right? So there's a lot of stuff that I saw in there. The pomegranates that looked like, and the pineapple, and there's different veggies, not veggies, but fruits there. But yeah, I mean, he tried it at least, but there's different kiwis, right? So the ones that you can take the spoon and put it in and just scoop it out, that tastes way different than the green ones that you have to slice or peel or whatever. We
Those ones
have
are a
them
little bit
every
more
day. We have kiwis
sour.
every single day. What's that?
You do? I said
Yeah, we
that
have kiwis every day.
the ones that you don't scoop is just a little more sour, in my
Right.
opinion. But
And harder. And
yeah,
harder. The other ones that you scoop are like nice grapes. I mean, he would love that. We're gonna have to have him try that.
maybe if he's at the live show, we'll get him to try something.
Oh, those ones are good. The scoop and eat, yeah, they're good.
I love a kiwi. I wonder he probably has ever had like dragon fruit. I wonder has he has a mango. Mango's my other favorite fruit. I love a
Mango's
mango.
good. Yeah, mango's good.
Poor guy. Well, I mean, you know what though? This is all an adventure, so he gets to have like all these new fruits that are delicious. So
Well,
lucky
same thing. I
him.
mean, this is all about that personal growth that we're talking about at the beginning, right? Now that he's had pineapple, he's open to having kiwi, right? So he's opening him up to more possibilities in his food choices now, which is probably good for him.
Definitely good for him. Isn't he an engaged man? I just can't imagine like my husband never having had a kiwi before. It's wild to me. Um, so Kyle brings up Gabe, and he wants to get Gabe out before Gabe gets him out. So Kyle and Gabe are on the same starting tribe. They're kind of at this point maybe circling each other. They are both threats physically. They're both on Tuku, and they know that we're going to want to come and drop Tuku down. And so, yeah, it kind of is who's going to be outed first. Is it going to be Gabe or Kyle here? And now because Kyle is at the sanctuary, there is an opportunity for it to be Gabe, not Kyle. They do also say that if Gabe wins, they want to go for Genevieve. And then we hear Rachel wants Genevieve. She says this in her confessional because Genevieve is on to her. So you spoke a little bit about the plan coming into fruition here, or like coming into form at the sanctuary. Do you think that this is the right plan for both of them? What do you think about Rachel wanting to go for Genevieve?
Well, again, it's as long as it's not me, right? So you're at Sanctuary. Good things happen there because you've got Kyle pitching Gabe, right, which is great. We know that Tuku is a threat, so they want to get one of them out. So Kyle's pitching Gabe, and you've got now Sam, on board with that. What I found though with this, with Rachel, she was non-committal here, so she wasn't committing to anything. So she's able to kind of make her decision later on, which I thought was great for her. As far as her positioning herself against everybody else, I just thought with Rachel she did. You know what? Ask me that question again. I've gone off track here with that question. Ask me that question one more time.
I don't remember what I asked you, but something to the effect as
You're getting
how did
older
you
too.
yeah, I don't know. I don't remember what I asked. So Rachel does end up talking to Sam when they're alone. Sam's like, "Okay,
Yeah.
we got a second to talk right now. You know, what do you think about all this?" And Rachel's like, "You blew up my spot," like, which I'm happy that she called about. And I thought that there was a really a poor decision of him immediately taking the information that he received from Rachel, telling to Saul, and potentially blowing up her spot. And she's said it twice that she doesn't want her spot to be blown up. The editors don't leave things in the edit for no reason. So I'm wondering if this might come back to haunt her or him, this spot being blown up.
Well, I think with Rachel saying that to Sam, again, Sam owes her, right? So she gave him information. He blew up her spot. I think he now owes her. So again, she's put him in a position where, I owe you, and I'm gonna probably have to, kind of redeem myself at some point. Maybe that's going to be on the jury. Who knows?
Fair. Sam wants Tuku to be broken out first, and then Genevieve. Now, Sam does seem like, with this win, he has a little more power, and he's not appearing to be as defeated. And so I'm wondering if people are going to start being worried about him after this next vote. And so this is also another person that I could see going ahead of Genevieve. Just saying. Just saying. I'm rooting for her still. Back at camp, Andy does tell Sue that he wants to work with her. Especially because he knows that Sue plays very emotionally. She still has this beef with Kyle from like 2.5 weeks ago when he wrote her name down when he thought that she was the vote. So she still hasn't forgiven him for that. And he also
I like
tells
the montage there. They show her chopping the coconut. Yeah, she's not happy with Sam or with Kyle at all. Not at all.
So then Andy says that Kyle called her Tweedledee and Tweedledum, her and Caroline's alliance, friendship, relationship. Have we heard him say that?
And who was Tweedledum? Do you know? Have you figured it out?
I would think that Tweedledum would be Sue.
Oh, wow.
Just because it has dumb in the name, but is there a difference between the two?
Well, Tweedledee, I would agree with you. Caroline's probably Tweedledee and Tweedledum, right? So I agree with you, but I don't know who was it?
Kyle?
Who Kyle was referring to? Yeah,
I think maybe it's just like the duo of them, or these like.
Because the bottom line is that he was very disrespectful when he said that. So
now, do you remember him saying this? I don't know if I remember it specifically.
No, he didn't say. I don't remember him saying this, but he was. Remember, who was it that said he said something really? I think it was Rome. Like he said something really nasty, and I'm not going to repeat it, but it was nasty about them. It might have been Rome that called him out on that. I believe.
I don't remember. Chat, do you guys remember this?
It's somebody that called him out anyways. It said that he said that, and it was not a nice thing to say. I'm not going to repeat it here right now. So there's a whole. I mean, maybe somebody in the chat knows who that was, because I know it was said that he said something that was not nice about those two.
Well, Gabe is also getting a little bit worried about everything. He sees, he's worried about Kyle, especially, he's talking about Kyle with Caroline and Teeny, just being like, he's worried that Kyle is going to come for him. And so it is interesting that they're both feeling that it is around the right time for one of them to take out the other. And so they're kind of circling each other a little bit here.
Well, they know that they're going to probably come after a Tuku, right? So if they're coming out of after Tuku, they want to put it on somebody else, right?
Absolutely. And so Genevieve flat out says, like, I will vote for Kyle. She got Genevieve's vote in there. And Gabe does say that they have gotten close, him and Kyle, but he is scared of Kyle, especially with Kyle winning all these immunities. And the fact that, like you said, they have to break up this Tuku. Gabe is worried about Kyle at this point, getting the numbers to get him out. So it's Kyle's turn in Gabe's eyes. Wait, Gabe is weighing Kyle as an ally vote. Wait, what am I talking about? Not sure. So Sam wants to bring the outcasts together for this Gabe vote. So this is with Andy and Teeny. He wants to bring all these people together. So this is like with seeing Sam doing all this work here about getting people together and seemingly being in a strong position. I wonder if he's going to be like the tall top poppy syndrome, where people are just going to want to cut him down too if he looks like he's too powerful. So he might have a similar fate to Genevieve, with him seeming to be emerging right now as like a leader. Teeny doesn't want to be too trusting of Sam. Obviously, she's been burned by Sam, but she does recognize that they are in a similar situation. Sam was burned by the group with the Sierra vote. She was burned by the group with the Saul vote, and previously with the Keyshawn vote. And so she's hesitantly wanting to work with Sam. What do you think about this as a duo, as a potential alliance?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, everyone wants to create those bonds, right? So she recognizes that Sam and her are probably in the same position, close to the bottom. So bringing all the bottom feeders together so to speak. I think it's a good idea, 100%.
I realized what I was writing here about the Gabe thing. So I wrote that Gabe is weighing Kyle as an ally, or a vote. And so like if Kyle is gone, that means like he doesn't have Kyle's vote anymore. He doesn't have
Right.
Kyle as an ally or vote. Doesn't have him as a number or voting block. And so if he takes him out, he loses that kind of leverage. But if he's in, if Kyle isn't coming for him, then he does have somebody that is a number for him. So that is definitely something to be weighing out here for Gabe. So Teeny feels like she is mourning the loss of her friendship with Genevieve, and she's pretty down here at this moment. She's having a survivor low, feeling really, really alone. She talks a lot about struggling with her own personal identity and where she fits in the world, and then where she's fitting into the society of survivor. And it was a pretty touching moment for Teeny here. And then her bag catches on fire. And obviously that seems like it's a crummy thing to happen. Like she doesn't have any that many belongings there that are hers, but her bag catches on fire. And to me, this was a transformative moment because fire transmutes and changes energy, it changes things, and it transforms things, and the phoenix rising from the ashes, like I said before. So I thought this was actually a really symbolically great moment for Teeny.
Yeah, no, I thought it was great because, imagine how down she is with everything. Really, all the things that have come to the surface for her that she's dealing with. And she said that, with Genevieve, it was like a breakup. So her heart was broken. So she was feeling terrible, terrible, which again, that could have been one of the things that brought the fire on too, right? So she was in a bad state, really, probably down on herself. Then the fire happens. It's like, wake up. And it's probably like a wake up call for her at that point, because you can't go any lower than that. You're feeling down, and then your bag, or basically your house that you're carrying around with you, sets on fire. You can't get a new bag, right? Because they won't give a new bag to anybody. And so now she's like, okay, this is it. I got to do something. So I thought that the turnaround, I agree with you. That's definitely the rising of the phoenix there, coming out of the ashes and so forth. I definitely agree with you, because that seemed to be her turnaround right there, that, screw it. I'm just going to turn this around. This is my new beginning. So yeah, definitely. I thought that was great. Great for her. It was a wake up call. She was woke.
And like, but that's one thing I love about reality TV. Like that is so real. Like her bag catches on fire. Like the real story emerged on its own. It wasn't manufactured. Like I thought it was just pretty. I mean, obviously the editors put it together to make it make sense thematically, but like the fact that it happened when she's down, like I thought it was just a really symbolic moment. And I think that we're going to see Teeny's game start moving upwards. Like I think that it's on a positive upward trajectory.
Agreed.
Be more sloth. Oh, this is Jeff talking about the game. So be more sloth-like is what Jeff thinks is necessary for you to do well in this immunity challenge. So I don't actually agree, because don't sloths just hang upside down, or they just sleep? Like don't they just?
Well, they don't move, right? So I think with that challenge with the balls, you had to be in a position where you don't move. So I understand what he said. Have you seen a sloth?
In real life, no, only on TV.
No, they definitely don't move. I saw that, seen them in Costa Rica, and they're in the tree. They don't move. They're just like like you said, laying around, but they're very, very still, very still.
All right. Well, they have to balance a ball kind of on like a tray, starting with one ball, and then on intervals, just keep on adding new balls. And while they're doing this with the tray, they're going to be standing on a beam.
I love when they came in. I think, who was it, Caroline or Rachel, said to Jeff, "You and your balls."
No, Jeff can't leave a season in the new era without having this rice negotiation. So they've had it in most seasons a little bit earlier, where he'll try to get people to sit out of the game for rice. So this time he wants people to sit out of this immunity. It's just too late in the game. Like I wouldn't be sitting out. Like what? I could make it 8 more days at this point without rice. Like I don't care. It wouldn't be a big deal for me to, I don't think anyways, to have no rice right now. So the rice negotiation, I just don't think is that worth it to me at this point. But Jeff really thinks that it is necessary. So he wants 4 people to sit out of this immunity challenge. Basically half. Like there's 9 people left? So close to half. He's like 3 people. No takers here. So then I believe that Caroline says, what if 3 people give you our shot in the darks? And he says, no. Then Kyle says, what if we all give you our shot in the darks? Would we get some rice? Now, what do you think about this as an offer? What do you think about the fact that Jeff accepts this offer? And what do you think about about Sam being persuaded to give up his shot in the dark?
Well, a lot of decision making there, and I think it's based on where you are or where you see yourself in the game, right? So if you're on the bottom, you don't want to give up your shot in the dark. If you're on the top, then yeah, give up my shot in the dark. So they had to weigh it, based on where they were or where they felt they were in the game, and Sam was weighing that, where he felt he was in the game. So to give up the shot in the dark, I'm not sure if it was a big deal because what is it? You've got 1 in 6 chances of getting it, so the odds are not in your favor to get it anyways. So, but everyone was willing to do it, so it puts Sam in such a terrible position because he definitely wanted to keep his shot in the dark. But if he kept his shot in the dark, he's upsetting everybody else in the camp, and they're going to remember that. They're not going to like him for that because he took rice away from them, right? So he was in a tough spot. I think he made a good decision to go with the group. So he didn't put a target on himself. So he went with it. And, it worked out for him, obviously, as we're going to see. But yeah, I mean, that was a tough decision. That was a great negotiation. Jeff liked the negotiation, I believe, because it was getting all of these dice, I guess, were coming back to him. So it was different. It was different for him in the show as well.
Well, it was a history making moment for the show. I personally think that the shot in the dark is kind of a waste. We've seen it hit twice. Once where the person that used it and it hit, they weren't in danger of going home, so it didn't matter. And then we also saw it hit where it was a pretty electric moment. You saw that season, right? Where the shot in the dark hit?
I don't remember, no.
It was 45. And so I was actually we had our live event in Brea, California, when the shot in the dark hit. And so spoiler alert if anybody hasn't seen 45, but Caleb was going to be going home and he played a shot in the dark and the shot in the dark hit. And in the theater where we were watching this event, it was like mayhem. Everybody's screaming. Caleb gets up on the table and he's like shouting like, yeah! Like it was a really, really, really awesome moment. It was about a year ago.
I remember that season. I do remember the season now with Caleb, but I don't remember that scene.
Well, the scene was I think it was the first vote of the merge or like right before the merge. Like they're all together on the same beach, and the first vote where they're voting all together, but it wasn't the jury yet. Anyways, it was that vote. It was between him and I think there was a revote. Or I can't remember exactly what happened. And what was her name? Maya was the one that ended up going home because he played the shot in the dark and it hit. But yeah, so the moment, like obviously on the TV was awesome, but being in the live audience when that happened was like it was pretty insane. It was an awesome moment to be a part of live. It was pretty cool. So
well, I mean, at the same time, like with these guys giving it all up, I mean that's a long shot, but it's at least a shot if you ever get into that situation. So I could see where Sam was really debating whether he should do it or not.
So I wonder if like to make the shot in the dark a little bit better is because if every single person that plays the shot in the dark has the 1 in 6 chance, it means that it could also not hit 1 in 6. Like, we've only had it hit twice. It hasn't even been like the correct odds since they've been played. You know what I mean? So if in the game, say, like every 6 had, like, you knew for sure they had it, you might have the die that has the safe on it. Like there's 18 people playing, so 3 out of the 18 shot in the darks guaranteed were safe. Maybe that would be a little bit better, but because each person is essentially rolling the die, it actually makes the odds a bit worse than 1 in 6. Do you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying, right?
Not really, but I'm with you.
I'm just saying that, like, the shot in the dark has been played. The odds have been worse than 1 in 6 because the odds stay 1 in 6 every single time that it's played. It's not like you have, like, anyways, whatever.
Okay, so every time someone plays it, then it goes down to 1 in 5
I mean,
or something like
that
that.
would be even better. But I'm just saying that, like, I wish that each person either had a safe or a not safe on their die instead of rolling the die each time. I don't even know how they actually decide who has safe or not safe. Maybe it is already fairly distributed. I don't know. But I just feel like everybody could play their shot in the dark and everybody could be not safe. Right? It is possible. So I wish that it was guaranteed that at least in a group of 18, that 3 shot in the darks will 100% say safe. You know what I mean?
Okay, so you basically, well, they would know, I guess, if they had the die. If you had 3 that said safe all over, safe, 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 they would know that they actually have a shot in the dark, and other people wouldn't know whether they had that shot in the dark or not, I guess, or I don't know.
Whatever.
Kind of with you.
I
Just
don't know
mix
how
it up
you
a little
would,
bit, right?
like, make that work in logistically, but it's just the fact that each time someone plays a shot in the dark, they have the same odds, and every single person could potentially have a not safe. I just think that it's just underwhelming. It would just be nice to know that, okay, 3 of us on the season are for sure have a safe. It just would just make people want to play it more. Because, like, I wouldn't bother playing the shot in the dark because I would know that chances are it's going to be a not safe. So it's just inconsequential. And I think
Hey,
that that's
if it's
why.
your last shot, if it's a Hail Mary, you're gonna play it, right? And if it's your last chance, you're gonna play it, right? So I think it gives you that one chance. I mean, yes, the odds are against you, but it just gives you that one shot that I might end up getting safe, and I'm good. So
But then you lose your vote, and maybe your vote could have been the one that would help you stay in the game potentially, right? Because
well, you lose your vote when you okay at that point. Okay, didn't
and
know that.
so I think that they busted the shot in the dark, which I think is great because I don't think it's that effective. Like, yes, it's your last shot. Like, I would use it if there was no other hope for me in the game. Absolutely, it's nice to have that Hail Mary, as Jeff was saying, but the fact that it's taken away and making it go back to old school and that it's not as coveted as Jeff wants it to be, I think it's hilarious.
Mm.
That the players don't care about it as
They
much
don't.
as
They
Jeff
don't care
does.
about it. Huh? Okay.
I think. Jeff obviously asks them to walk them through it, for Sam to walk him through what he was hemming and hawing about. Like you've mentioned, he's on the bottom. He needs to weigh whether or not it's better for him to keep his shot in the dark and disrupt the community, make everybody upset, or make everybody happy and get rid of his last chance opportunity. So Gabe convinces Sam to give a shot in the dark, and they make Survivor history by all giving Jeff their shot in the dark.
Yeah, that was a big move by Gabe that I think hurt his game, because when he was convincing Sam, like he was like over the top convincing Sam, and he made a really convincing point, but I think he just went overboard trying to manipulate Sam at this point, who was already not sure what he was going to do, and he made it for Sam where if he didn't do it, it was definitely going to be bad for Sam. So Sam had to do it based on the nudging of Gabe, and at the same time, Gabe I think put more of a target on his back, coming and being so strong and trying to get him out. So definitely put himself out in the open as well when he did that.
Definitely. So round one happens with the one ball on the tray, and everybody makes it through that round. Round two, the wind comes through and takes out Caroline, Andy, then Rachel, then Genevieve, then Gabe, all out on round two. In round three, Teeny and Sam are taken out. And then it's Kyle versus Sue again. And Sue does drop here. And this makes Kyle win his fourth immunity challenge since the merge. That's a big feat. Not very many people did that, have done that. I think that there's Jeff even mentioned that there's like a 5 immunity club that he's about to become a part of. And so do you think that Kyle's going to make it to the 5 immunity club, or do you think he's going to lose the next one and be out of there?
Hey, the odds are with him. So the odds are with him to win. He's won 4 in a row. So the odds are with him.
But no, he didn't win the last one. So it wasn't in a row. But
well, not in a row, but he's won 4. So I definitely think that he's got good odds of winning another one if he's in the game. So he either wins or he's not in the game. So I think he's going to win. Or I don't think he's going to win, but that's the choices as far as, you know.
I mean, if they don't, they have to take him out. If he's not that he's a threat to win the game necessarily, because I don't know if they respect him as a game player, but he's taking away someone else's opportunity to give themselves safety, especially without the shot in the dark. Be like, sorry, Kyle, I want a shot at this immunity here to keep myself safe and so I can have a nice sleep. So yeah, you got to go.
Well, it's easy for everyone to point to him as a threat, right? So there's a threat we need to get rid of, right? So it's easy to get everybody to agree to that. So yeah, if he doesn't win, he's gone.
Kyle is, of course, really proud of himself for doing this well. And I just don't think that, like, I think he had to play this type of game. I don't think that he would ever be able to not be this strong in challenges and still be able to strategically get himself through the game. And so, yeah, he has to keep winning or he goes home.
To his family.
To Ponderosa.
Well, yeah, eventually to his family. But yeah, he did the balls different than everybody else, right? So he had his arm tucked right in. He had it tight. You could see the biceps bulging. So he definitely had his arm locked to his side, and the plate was just sitting there, and his arm was not moving because he had it so stiff.
Yeah, no, it's definitely, and for leverage and for balance, having it tightened like that, I could think it was a smart strategy instead of it being kind of not anchored into his side.
Right.
Susan thinks that he will win at least 6. It's his only way to get to the end. He has to win. Well, then he has to win next episode as well. Sheila says, I saw a super funny comparison of Kyle to Shaggy from Scooby-Doo. They do look alike.
They do, actually.
I can see it.
Sheila, I thought you're getting on the plane now. Sheila wasn't getting on the plane. She's almost there.
So Sam, after the challenge, Sam, Teeny, and Andy are talking about Gabe. Teeny definitely wants Genevieve out. But she might have to settle for Gabe right now and hold up. So this would be really interesting if Teeny kind of waits and waits and waits, and it's like David versus Goliath here, and takes Genevieve out when it's unassumed. That could be kind of cool because she's waiting for her moment to strike.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's too early now. She's going to go with the plan of taking out Gabe, but she has Genevieve in her sights. Gabe, of course, wants Genevieve to go out, attributing the last vote out to be all her, that she's strategic, she's scary, all that stuff. She's talking about this with Caroline and Kyle and Sue. So he's thinking, if we can get Genevieve out, that means we will have 4 Tukus in the final 8. Like, we have to do this. And so he's pretty excited about this as being a potential, for him, the game. And it would be a very strong position for him to be in. Having 4 Tukus in the game, 4 out of 8, is working with him specifically. He has a great shot at winning the game. So would want that too if I were you, Gabe. But Caroline is not sure if that is going to be what's best for her game. Gabe does want to go to the end with Caroline and Sue. That's his ideal final three. But Caroline, she thinks that she wants to do Gabe. She wants to take Gabe out of this game. And she tells us to Andy. And she's too scared to tell Sue, of course, because Sue and Gabe have been close since day one. And so is Caroline potentially making the same mistake that Genevieve made with Teeny, with having a blindside potentially happen, voting against her, not letting her in on the plan, and taking out her close ally? Do you think this could bite Caroline in the butt?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure. I mean, Caroline has played kind of that role where initially she was trying to bring everyone together in Tuku. So I'm surprised that she's going to flip at this point. Definitely surprised that she's going to flip. But yeah, it could come back on her, 100%.
Rachel, talking to Caroline, thinks that Genevieve would be better. Rachel is scared of Genevieve because she thinks that Genevieve is on to her. Little does she know is that Caroline is also on to her. So I think that Rachel might also be playing with a little bit of fire here, because if Caroline decides to go and tell Genevieve that, hey, Rachel has your name in her mouth, Genevieve might want to retaliate with a Rachel vote the next round, and Caroline could be up for that. So everybody's kind of walking on shaky ground here, I would say.
How come no one's really seeing that the girls are a threat at this point? So you've got more girls than guys at this point. Why is no one seeing that, if we knock off all the guys, the girls are going to be in a position to be able to come after us? And that's what's happening. I mean, how many guys are left? Four, yeah. At this point. So it's going to go down to 3, I think, right?
Yeah, 4. Yeah, 3 out of 8.
Yeah, that's a tough spot.
Not good odds for sure. Rachel and Kyle have a conversation. I think Rachel's still trying to gather some numbers for maybe a Genevieve flip here. Rachel tells Andy that she would rather do Genevieve. And, Genevieve at this point wishes that she had her shot in the dark over Rice. After she eats the rice, she's full, and she wishes she had the shot in the dark now, because she's starting to feel a little bit more uneasy about her position in the game.
But Rachel didn't have the shot in the dark in the first place.
Oh, yeah, no, Rachel's fine. I said Genevieve for that part.
Genevieve,
but yeah.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah, that's something that Rachel
got free rice. She finally got her free rice, right?
Yeah, she had it in her pocket. They made her put it back, and so when she already used her shot in the dark, so she was able to get some free rice.
Free rice.
Kyle says to Gabe that it's basically going to be you or Genevieve, which is a scary thought for Gabe, but he feels pretty solid in Tuku, and so he thinks that he has the numbers and he's going to make it through. Genevieve is worried that it'll be her. She's noticing that nobody's talking to her as much. They're not using her as a person to strategize with what's going on, so she knows that her name is being discussed for sure. And Gabe and Genevieve do have a little bit of a conversation saying that it's going to be one of them. Now, I thought that maybe this would have been a time for them both to come together and maybe work on somebody else and keep them both safe. Like, I thought that maybe that would happen, but I'm assuming that Genevieve didn't want to look like she was orchestrating something else. And so she had to look weak and not that she could get herself out of this mess. And so I think she was playing, what's it called when you do that? Playing
possum.
Yeah. I think that's what she was doing, because I think it would have been beneficial for her maybe to gather the troops with Gabe, but I think with her position, it might have worked against her.
Who could they gather? I mean, at this point, I don't know that there's anybody that would come into their fold at this point.
Maybe Andy. Definitely Sue.
Okay.
And then they would just maybe need one more, right?
Who?
Okay, not Rachel, not Sam. Maybe a Teeny. I know that she did burn Teeny, but it could, maybe a Teeny.
Yeah, no, it puts like you're saying, it's going to put even more of a
More heat.
spotlight on her if Gabe and her put that together. So it was easier to just do like this.
Yeah.
That was not me, right? Cross your fingers.
We get to tribal and the jury arrives, and Jeff's conversation this round is about the criteria of community. They talk about building a community that you're destined to tear apart. I definitely think that Survivor is like a community, but you know what? If I'm ever on Survivor, do you know what I'm going to bring is the idea of it being like a seminar. That is what my contribution will be, and I will bring it. So
what are you going to do? You're going to hope for rain and put everybody outside in the rain for the tribal or whatever, where they're voting people out?
maybe, but like he always wants people to have these analogies about life, and sometimes it's talking about people in the backseat of cars and getting out of the car and run over by, but like he loves an analogy. So I might use your analogy that you brought up about the seminar.
Put it together. That
Personal
could
growth.
work. Easy to write.
Easy to write, and like that could be like my whole narrative for the show.
Very cool.
Yeah, like maybe
I
we're
wonder how
discovering
many
something.
people you can do it with at once. Would you want to do it with a small group or with a large group?
If we're doing something like actually like a seminar, a personal growth seminar, like I would probably start small. I'd probably do like a beta group, just to test it out and see how it works, and then probably grow bigger. So yeah, I'll maybe start with 10.
I see a big group. I see a big group. Okay, get into teams of 8, and you got a big room of hundreds of people, and they got to figure out which 8 they're going to get into because that's their tribe, and you have all these different tribes now that are competing against each other, and then you just put together games that's going to really, have that growth come out basically. But yeah, no, I could picture it growing anyways into a big thing, with lots of people there coming to the Survivor seminar, right? The Survivor event, or whatever you end up calling it. Yeah, I could see that being, a lot of fun. And I think people would show up for that, especially if there was some breakthrough. But yeah, you definitely would have to be in a position to handle some of the breakthroughs that happen at these events when people really go through some stuff, right? So sometimes they go through some stuff, and you have to really know your stuff to be able to work with them and help them when they do.
100%.
That rebirthing is really a rebirthing that happens at these events when you put people through a really tough situation that they, either fall back or they break through. That's the only choice that they have. And if they break through, it could be good. If they don't break through, I've seen it in seminars where it's really bad when they don't break through. I remember one event where we were playing a game called Good Frog, Bad Frog. Do you remember this? Good Frog, Bad Frog. I used to do it with you guys when you guys were kids, where I had the little froggy, and I would go, okay, is this a good frog or a bad frog? And sometimes you basically go like this with the frog and tap it around on the wall, and everyone in the audience have to say whether it's a good frog or a bad frog. Well, the game was played where if it was a good frog, you would say, okay, is this a good frog or a bad frog? And then when it was a bad frog, you would say, is this a good frog? So I remember in one event, one of my friends, basically, she was the last one standing, and she couldn't get it. And all the audience is saying, good frog, right? And she couldn't figure out whether it was a good frog or a bad frog. And that kind of messed her up, actually. She actually reverted to a little girl after that. So yeah, you have to definitely know your stuff, have your people in there that can support this type of activity, because you're playing with people's minds, right? So, yeah, could I mean, she actually went back to like a 3, 4, 5-year-old girl for the rest of the seminar. She was talking like a little girl.
Really?
Didn't break out of it. She had to go get some help after that. So yeah, definitely some good things will happen, and you might have some things that you have to deal with to make sure that everybody's safe.
100%.
A lot of stuff to think about there, but it could be a great seminar.
I
Could
mean,
be good frog or bad frog, right?
Right?
The one
Bad frog.
we had one where we had to, as a group, get together, like 4 or 5 of us in the team, and we had to illustrate a word. And so, it was a really, really, I'll talk to you offline about this. This was a really, really good challenge because we're going between right brain and left brain. So the right brain was then when we're, talking with the group, but the left brain is when we had to figure out with some pieces and make these pieces illustrate a word. So between the pieces are blocks and us, we had to illustrate a word. So we were going back and forth between right brain and left brain. And it basically got to a point where everybody was doing the same thing. It was a fantastic event that I'll have to share with you offline. It was called Money and You, but great event. Great event. I'll share with you some of those games offline.
I love, yeah, like those are like my favorite things to do. Exercises, games, like tasks, fun. I think that they're all really exciting. So yeah, something is being born here. I'm having my own phoenix rising from the ashes moment right now. So yeah, they do talk a lot about community here. You're destined to tear this community apart. Jeff feels as though with giving up their shot in the dark that everybody decided to make the season easier to vote out. And I guess in a way, but I don't think that people are that as terrified of the shot in the dark as Jeff thinks that they are. Like that's into consideration. They're like, oh, like they might play their shot in the dark, so let's have like a backup plan. But like it's nobody's that scared of the shot in the dark as they're scared of an actual live idol that it's physical. So I think he just wants to big up his shot in the dark because it's his idea.
He is the executive producer after all.
Sam though didn't want to die on that hill. Did he say no pun intended? Because I was thinking it.
No, I didn't say it.
Die on that hill.
Oh, die. Okay.
So this is the criteria for this vote, which I thought was interesting, was they're saying like they are threat hunting. They are hunting out everybody that they think is going to be a threat, which threats are emerging. And that's why I'm thinking that maybe Genevieve will have a shot in the dark, but is because her threat is diminishing and other threats are rising. And so she might be able to just sneak by until then her threat re-emerges. But Genevieve feels less confident, of course, without her shot in the dark. Was there any of this discussion that you found particularly interesting or that you made any notes about for this vote?
Not really. I mean, the whole idea of them, being there, it's rainy. You've got Sierra coming out and you've got Armless Soul coming out. But as far as the debate, I mean, I think Gabe was the right move at this point, right? To get him out, break up Tuku, and that's what they did. So, I liked the tribal. I liked what went on there. I think that one of the things that I thought about, and tell me what you think about this. When Gabe did that dance, do you think that might have rubbed some people the wrong way? Like he's doing that dance and basically showing off his win. Do you think that could have, this jealousy and envy, right? So did that maybe come into play?
I think that if he didn't ask to do it, it might have been more well received. Because like if it was a natural, be like, yeah, dance, do like do the moment, whatever, and like everybody's in on like the energy of like this win and the excitement. Yeah. It might have been better received, but I could see them being like, oh, you're going to ask permission to do a celebratory dance with the idol that everybody wants to win. I could see people being maybe a little bit annoyed. I don't think it'd be enough to send him home, but I do think it could add to people being like happy that you're not there necessarily.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of, it's like when I win a game here, I'd rub it in everybody's face when we're playing games.
I might do the same.
Yeah, so I rub it in everybody's face, and they actually hate me for doing that, but that's what I do, right? I am the champion. I am the champion. I am the champion of the game.
Is that why I said it's so hard for you when I win? What are we going to play? Because I think I'm going to come by at the end of December.
We play Rummy Cube right now. That's the Rummy Cube and Scrabble are kind of the two house games as far as board games.
I don't know what Rummy Cube is. Obviously,
Rummy Cube. You got to look it up. So look it up if you got an Android. Look it up. Get the game on your
I don't have an Android.
On your phone and start playing because Rummy Cube's what we play.
Okay, done. I'll learn it. So, of course, there's no way that they're going to let 4 Tukus get further into the game. So, there'd be 4 out of 8 people from the same original starting tribe. So, Gabe has got to be the one that's going here. I do think that Caroline was going to flip. I know that she was saying that, maybe she was open to doing some other things, but I think that Caroline was going to be voting for Gabe, and Gabe was going to be shocked here. So when Jeff asks if there's any idols or advantages to be played, nobody stands up. We got to remember that Sue still has, an immunity idol. So she
If
only
she
has
would have known, she could have saved Gabe, right?
I
So
wasn't sure if that was going to happen, but exactly. Maybe that's why Caroline also didn't share this with Sue, because she did not want to save Gabe here and then also reveal everybody's cards.
well, she knows that Sue's got that idol too, right?
That's what
So
I'm saying. Like, doesn't
yeah.
want to tell Sue save Gabe, and then everybody else's plans is kind of outed there. And then who would they have voted? Maybe Caroline would have been the one that takes that hit. So, because yeah, if they can't get Kyle out because he won immunity, she tells Sue. Sue uses her idol to save Gabe. Oh, I guess Genevieve would have gone out then because she would have had 2 votes.
Yeah.
I'm glad that didn't happen. So no advantages. Sheila was like, what?
Yeah. She's on the plane now, but she's happy, yes.
So the votes come in. Gabe, then Genevieve, then another Genevieve vote. She is like, oh my God, it's going to be me. Then it's Gabe. That was enough. Gabe is going to be, he's going to be out of this game.
How do you think Sue feels now? We're going to see that now because Sue was left out of the vote. So she's going to be very angry.
Well, look at she's still harboring those feelings about Kyle from 2 weeks ago. So now this happening from Caroline, who's been working with her from beginning, that's doing this to her, taking out her number 1 ally, not letting her in on the vote. Sue's going to be as mad as Teeny was, I think, for sure.
Yeah, she'll get some more war paint on her face. I mean, you notice how her face is dark and dirty. So she's going to put more mud on her face and come after them.
Gabe does say to Caroline, you got a little snake in you.
No, but he didn't. He actually, I saw an exit interview. He wasn't speaking to Caroline. He was speaking to Teeny. And he was actually giving Teeny props. You got a little snake in you. But he's saying now, whether that's not true or not, but in an exit interview I saw, he was actually saying it to Teeny, not to Caroline. So he's hugging Caroline, but he's looking at Teeny saying, you got a little snake in you.
Wow. Okay. I did not.
And that was him giving her props.
He says, I'll be back as he's exiting after he gets his torch snuffed. Do you think he'll be back? Do you think he's played an impressive enough game to be invited back for another season?
Well, yeah, I think he's charming. I mean, he's charming. He knows the game, obviously. I think there's a real possibility. And again, he put that seed into Jeff's mind right there. I'll be back. Right. So I think he's got a good chance of coming back.
Who does he is the MVP this episode?
MVP. Let me see what I wrote down here for the MVP. I've got Teeny. Her emotional vulnerability and symbolic reset made them a compelling figure in this episode. So that's what I have there. So we got Teeny. Kyle, his immunity streak and leadership during the Rice negotiation underscored his dominance. And then, of course, Rachel, her role as a swing vote and careful strategy highlighted her growing influence. So that's what I was able to pull for my stuff on that.
I think I would take Teeny and Kyle. I would agree with you. Yes, I do think that Rachel was, decided to put her sword down and didn't push too hard for Genevieve.
She's in the middle. So she's in the middle as a swing vote right now. She can go any way she wants to go. So I think she's got huge flexibility right now on what she does and where she goes. So I thought that, again, her play was good. And no one knows she's got that idol still. So I really do think that she really positioned herself to be able to go where the wind blows. So my opinion.
Do we give them all three? All 3 of them are MVPs?
No, number one's got to be Teeny. She's rising from the ashes, so it's got to be Teeny.
Love Teeny. So Teeny and Kyle, I guess. But Teeny's the MVP, I would say.
Yeah, I would agree. I totally agree.
Teeny! Yay! Well, do you have anything else to say about this episode?
Perfect timing. Mimi's got to go out, so I got nothing else to say. I got to put Mimi out. She knows that we're finished, so she just went out to the door, and she's there. I got to go out now, so I'm done. But yeah, great episode. All of the emotional stuff I thought was great. The strategy was great. I'm starting to understand a little bit more about how this game's played. So thank you very much for bringing me along and being my mentor here on the game. Yo, yes, I'm your protege. Absolutely. So I'm learning how this goes. So I appreciate you really bringing me along. But I do have to get Mimi now. So I'm going to do my bye to everybody. And I'm gone. So I'll talk to you soon.
Take care, everybody.
Okay, bye.
Bye. He's actually, bye. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, like this video. Let us know if you think that Teeny should be the MVP here, or if it should be somebody else. If you like our thoughts, yeah, let's continue this conversation in the comments box below. And otherwise, we'll see you next week. Bye, everybody. Ciao. Happy Sunday.